job similar to being a COO at any other company?
Yeah, I think the principles are largely similar. You know, we try to focus as much as possible on our customers. I mean, we really are, if you think about it, in the retail business. We have 3 million plus people a year coming through our gates that we need to make sure that the ballpark is clean, the experience is great. We have to take care of our corporate sponsors, our broadcast advertisers, our concessionaire. We'd spend a lot of time making sure the food offerings, beverage offerings are right. So it's really a retail business in many ways. Of course, we have to have a commitment to fielding a competitive team out there. The product is ultimately what our fans care about. So spend a lot of time in the off season working on our budgets to make sure that Ben Sherrington and his team have the proper amount of resources to do just that.
So is the record that the team has almost the stock measure or your indice of how, you know, what you can charge for sponsorships and for tickets and for everything else? I mean, is that kind of the gauge of everything else? Is it that simple?
You know, it's a great question. We actually try and focus on making sure that the win-loss record does not drive those prices or sort of what we're charging. We try to really focus on market conditions in terms of the general economy, what our competition in Boston are charging, because you're going to have years when you go to the World Series or make it to the playoffs, and then you're going to have years like last year where we're completely disappointed by what happens on the field. We have a responsibility first and foremost to make sure that we are in tune with what's going on in the larger economy. We have had to take some steps to address that. Probably the biggest thing that we've done over the last 5 years is try to arrest the growth on our ticket prices, our season ticket prices, individual game prices, and we've frozen prices. We've kept them flat 3 out of the last 5 years. We've had a history of raising prices here year in and year out, but starting back in 2008, we took that step because it's really important, and we did the same with concessions. And interestingly, the certain sectors of business have not been impacted as much in the sponsorship side of our business. So we have been able to make up sort of the lost revenue in those categories. But again, our job is to generate as much revenue as possible that can be reinvested into 2 areas: player payroll and Fenway Park. We've invested millions and millions of dollars to preserve and protect Fenway. So it's not a normal business where you have a really high payroll and you've got high operating costs of your ballpark. And so this ownership group has decided to reinvest all of those revenues into those 2 areas.
Let's back up a little bit to the sponsorships, because I guess too you're also worried about the success of those industries. I mean, certainly if your biggest sponsor happens to be in, you know, telecommunications or food service or what have you, I mean, are you watching those? Is that a concern? Do they come to you and say, you know, geez, Sam, I can't afford it this year, or does that happen? Absolutely.
It happens, and especially over the last 4 or 5 years with the uncertain climate that we've had in the market. So, yeah, we're, in a way, our sponsorship business is like a diversified stock portfolio. We have major partnerships with blue chip companies like Bank of America and Budweiser and Coca-Cola, some smaller businesses like Old Dominion Trucking. We've got local companies that sponsor us like Giant Glass, and so it really runs the gamut in terms of big blue chip companies and smaller local companies, and all of them are not going to have record years each and every year. So we do have to be flexible. If companies are on hard times, we take that into consideration, and we've had to rework, sort of structure agreements differently to accommodate different folks' needs. But we've been very, very fortunate. Companies in New England have supported the Red Sox for a long time, over the last 11 years since we've been here, and that really helps fuel our operation.